Hello, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by. This time I'm coming at you to review yet another kind of a thriller, kind of horror movie. This one's made for TV, unfortunately, but that's okay. Kind of a thriller horror movie made for TV, Christmas, that takes place around Christmas. It's really not a Christmas themed movie so much, other than the fact that it just takes place around Christmas. I'm coming at you to review the made for TV movie by the name of Home for the Holidays, and this is a VHS I got previously viewed at Video Update years and years ago. And I mean, it looks like more of a horror movie to cover, but it's not in fact rated R. It's made for TV, so it's not rated. But the video store fraudulently put a rated R sticker on there, which is kind of, I mean, maybe they didn't do it, knowing that it was wrong. But anyway, it is kind of, it's fraud. It's the sticker, the R. The R-rated sticker is incorrect, obviously, because it's a made-for-TV movie. But this is a made-for-TV movie that came out, I want to say, in 1970. Yeah, it's saying 1972 on the back here, and it's actually starring a very, very young Sally Field. And gosh dang, she was cute in this movie. Home for the Holidays. It looks like the case has been cut down to fit into this clamshell. But Home for the Holidays, starring Sally Field. And I want to say it's directed by the same guy who directed that movie that I just reviewed, the TV movie I reviewed recently, The Night Stalker. Does it say in the back here? Yeah, John Lee, I can't say it, but I want to say that's the same guy who directed The Night Stalker, and it's maybe even the same year or very close to the same year as The Night Stalker came out. So this movie is basically a really simple tale of, this old guy who's got, like, how many daughters? Is it four daughters? That it takes place in California, so there's no snow or whatever. What I will say the movie has is a cool atmosphere, because throughout the whole movie, and usually it doesn't happen throughout the majority of the movie, I think it stops raining towards the end, but for the majority of the movie it's like a rainstorm, which is kind of cool. And for a TV movie it's really atmospheric. Of course, sometimes there's complete sun during some of the rain scenes, and you should probably wait until dusk to do those, but whatever. I mean, there can be instances where it's actually rain is coming down with the sun, but whatever. The whole movie, and the majority of the movie, takes place, with the rainstorm, which is kind of atmospheric and lends a lot of atmospheric, you know that I love, rain in horror movies, and, in this kind of thriller movies and stuff. It really adds. And to be honest, if it wasn't for the rain and the constant thunder and lightning and stuff, the movie wouldn't have nearly as much of the cool ambience as it does. So it's basically about this one older, I think, of the four sisters who came back to the house of her father, who's really sickly. And the woman he's married to isn't their original mom. I think their original mom is dead, and this woman is basically summoning the other three sisters, I think, back to the place, because Dad is convinced that this woman who he's married to is slowly poisoning him. That's the spiel that she gives to the other daughters when they arrive. And like I say, Sally Field being one of them, and gosh dang, I'd never seen her this young, and having seen her be this young, it's just like, wow, that's a face you can, go like this to the cheek to. If I was, back then making that movie, I would have just been like, okay, kept doing that to her. She's got one of those faces where you just want to take the cheek and go like that. But Sally Field is really cute in this movie. I mean, I think there's actually all of the three younger daughters are relatively cute. One of them's just a drunk, and one of them's just a whatever. Sally Field, of course, being the kind of just the nice, virginal, just nicer girl or whatever. So, that's the basic premise, of course. All of the suspicion is pointing towards this woman who's who's now married to the father, and the line from the older, and actually the father himself, is that she's slowly poisoning me, and I want you to just kill her, kill the woman, because he's convinced that she's slowly poisoning him, even though she's not in his will. But he had recently, or over the years, had a falling out with the daughters, and now he put them back in his will. So I mean, there's really no reason why this woman would actually want to poison him because she's not in the will. So these kind of things come up and stuff, and then I think after, the dad, being in poor health and stuff, begged the girls to come back for a last kind of Christmas gathering, although, I mean, he's always in bed, he doesn't come down, oh, he is downstairs. He doesn't come out of his room to have dinner, but it was just this last ditch, pleading to please come home and, to see you guys one last time before I'm finally poisoned or whatever. So, it's just like this awkward, dinner, and this woman's obviously just suspicious, and, they're all suspicious of her because Dad says she's poisoning him, and then right away later that night after the dinner or whatever, she goes to leave, and this character like dressed like this, which is a cool killer look, way before I Know What You Did Last Summer, since it's raining throughout the majority of the movie, this killer in these rain boots and the raincoat, is out in the barn with a pitchfork to off, one of the daughters is going to drive back or whatever, and just off, obviously it's a made-for-TV movie, so there's no gore or anything like that, but one character who said she's leaving is killed, and that's why they don't miss her, because she said she was leaving anyway. And throughout the course of the movie, then there's this really one of the hot daughters is drunk, and then the killer, kills this, she's drunk in the tub, and the killer pulls her on her feet so her head gets submerged, and she ends up drowning in the tub, and they think she killed herself. So, as this kind of stuff happens, and then like Sally Field and this older one are the last, daughters remaining and stuff, and then, the movie does that. And, just like with The Night Stalker, I don't think this is incredibly long. They're saying it's 70, I don't remember if it's actually 78 minutes, but that's really not long either. But, so that's what this, the movie basically is. And then there's this chase scene with this, out in the rain with Sally, or maybe it's after the rain, I can't remember, with the, this killer dressed in the boots and the raincoat with a pitchfork and chasing Sally Field, and she comes back. And so basically, I mean, it's an old made-for-TV movie, and I can basically spoil it in a kind of a cool, I think it's written by Joseph Stefano, isn't it? Yeah, who of course wrote the screenplay for Psycho. When, I mean, he didn't write the story, because I think the story was written by someone, the novel was written by someone else, but he wrote the screenplay for the movie Psycho. So the guy who wrote the movie Psycho wrote this, and, it's kind of a cool switcheroo, of course, where, the killer ends up not being the wife, but it ends up being the eldest daughter, which is kind of cool. She's just sick of turns out she's just sick of all the drama with the three younger daughters and stuff, and the family in general, so she just gathered them all together to just kill them all, which is kind of realistic, which I can completely sympathize with. Not that I, have or plan to do anything like that to any of my family members, but you know how family can be. I mean, whether it's close or more extended family or whatever, you kind of sympathize with the characters. So that's basically what ends up happening with this movie. Yet, I mean, once again, it's not so much of a Christmas horror movie. It's a made-for-TV thriller that just happens to take place around Christmas. So unlike, the movie I just reviewed, Don't Open Till Christmas, there's not a whole lot of Christmas stuff involved other than just a Christmas tree in the, the opening, or the down basement, or the entryway of the house, or whatever, the main whatever. So, that's pretty much Home for the Holidays, just a made-for-TV thriller that takes place around Christmas, and most of it taking place in a rainstorm, and that's one of the reasons, they couldn't get out of there. The road was washed out, and the phones are no good, and they don't have a car, and all this kind of stuff. So once again, the ambience, or the overall feel, the mood in the movie is kind of cool and atmospheric. But for the most part, other than being able to oogle a relatively young and attractive and cute Sally Field, it doesn't have a whole hell of a lot going for it. There's not a lot of on-screen stuff. Like I say, the one person killed with a pitchfork, and then I think the woman drowned or whatever. So if you're looking for a kill count, I mean, don't bother with this movie, in particular being made for TV. You don't see anything and stuff like that. But if you want to see a thriller from the early 70s with a young Sally Field, I'd say go for it. I'm going to be able to give this movie, Home for the Holidays, 1 star out of 4 stars. It's relatively kind of just like the movie I just reviewed, don't open till Christmas. It's more or less just, I mean, it's a more confident production than that, but still, it being nearly, I mean, I think it's under 80 minutes, still it's relatively uneventful. I mean, there's much better made for TV movies than this, but it does have once again, a cool mood or a cool atmosphere about it. And once again, geez, I like to say crap over and over. Young, attractive Sally Field. So I wouldn't, I think this possibly could be on YouTube to watch. So if you've got, nearly 80 minutes to kill and you want to see what I would regard as a one-star movie, feel free to check it out. So thank you very much for watching this review, and as always, we'll catch you on the next one.